Relic's past achievements in the RTS realm, such as Homeworld and Warhammer 40k, it's no surprise that heads turned when they announced that their next project would take place during World War II. With so much saturation in the WWII gaming market, there was trepidation amongst stalwart RTS fans. After spending a lot of time with the game, we've learned those feelings are unfounded. Company of Heroes aims high and hits a mark that developers should use as a basis for comparison when evaluating their own efforts in the genre and time period. The campaign mode follows the Able and Fox Company paratroopers into the Battle of Normandy, and eventually leads you to crush the German 7th Army. There are 15 different missions within the primary campaign. You'll finish your first objective, only to find the surface has merely been scratched. Upon completion of one objective, you'll be briefed on the changing battlefield and what part you'll play in the evolving battle. In addition, each mission has awards for completing specific challenges. These range from sniping a certain amount of Germans, maintaining control over a town, or heading off a blitzkrieg of panzer tanks. Although these are not necessary to progress the story, they add some replayability to the campaign. Each mission will take a couple of hours to complete, so the amount of time it takes to finish the campaign mode is quite satisfying. The only disappointment you'll feel is due to the inability to take a counter seat and stop the Allied movement, effectively changing the history books. One can easily take control of the Axis through skirmish or online play, but it still would have been nice to have an Axis campaign, even if the game isn't called Company of Villains. Those who have played Dawn of War will find the gameplay familiar. There are points on the map that must be captured and controlled. These supply and command stations replace the need to farm your resources like you do in most RTS games. These points are broken down into 3 parts: munitions, fuel, and manpower. The more land you control on the map, the more manpower you can use to make buildings and call in reinforcements. These command points also act as a supply chain back to your HQ, so if you're cut off from a fuel depot you control, the slow trickle from that spot will be cut until control is regained. Fuel is used to power and upgrade your armory, and munitions are used to equip your troops with the tools they need. Like other multiplayer games, Company of Heroes lets you control victory points. The more locations you control, the less victory points your enemy has, and when the victory points run dry, it's game over. The top of the screen will show who controls the victory points at all times. These allow skirmishes and multiplayer battles to turn into a blend of tactical ping-pong, but the largest battles are fought for control over enemy territory and not over victory points. One of the best ways to put your resources to good use is through the company commander system, which lets you choose one of 3 upgrade paths to build up that specific strength or ability. While the Axis and Allies control differently, their strengths and weaknesses stay consistently fair across the board. Each unit is either deadly and efficient or ready to be mowed down on the battlefield. Zerg rushing is not a tactic that will result in consistent success. Prioritizing your defense as much as your offense will give you the desired effect, and result in memorable battles that will not soon be forgotten. Where most games make sacrifices by offering more diluted content than necessary, Company of Heroes has aced the simulated World War II RTS battlefield. If troops are not micromanaged properly, they'll be obliterated with ease. Everything in the game can be used as cover, and is displayed on your cursor as red, yellow, or green. Red means no cover, your troops are in the open and vulnerable. Yellow signifies moderate cover, and green is excellent cover, which allows troops to do enough damage so they can wait for reinforcements or turn the tide of a less than favorable situation. Cover can also be destroyed. A tank can ram through almost every protective option, and units can use explosives to set charges or throw grenades. Where a house might be great cover for a heavy machine gun, upgrade your engineers to have flamethrowers, and you can burn the house down. As the environments change, your tactics on the battlefield must evolve to keep up. This keeps each match frantic, exciting, and more importantly, fun. Another tactical edge to note is the flanking of heavy machine guns, tanks, and anti-tank guns. Approaching these situations head-on can be suicide, so attacking the rear with a sudden assault will pin the enemy, forcing them to flee, or better yet, die. Tank movement and heavy weapons can be efficiently placed by clicking the left mouse button on where you want those units to move, and then dragging it towards the direction they need to be facing. This allows you to avoid flank situations with tanks, and easily send units to set up and defend a strategic area. Multiplayer lends itself well to head-to-head battles, but it truly shines in team play. With everyone amassing armies at the same time, it creates some huge, structured, chaotic moments. The only downside is that there's no way to quickly distinguish your teammates from one another to gauge who needs more assistance in a given situation. The sound design is spectacular and really pulls you into the battle, from the first gunshot being fired in the distance to the barrage of armored forces rolling over a war-torn city. The sound effects are so impressive that if you sit back and observe a prevailing battle being waged, you can distinguish where the conflict is and what's being fired. Relic has gone above and beyond to polish and nearly perfect the necessary ingredients to a successful RTS. You might miss playing an Axis-oriented campaign, but in the end, Company of Heroes is a solid, real-time strategy experience that should keep you busy for much longer than expected.
That's right, Fritz. War's over. Let's go.